Hello, dearies. What have y'all been up to this week? It's been 2 weeks now. A lot has happened both mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, intellectually, and all of that can be summarized. That right there was the sound of my emotions kind of running amok. Truly, these past 2 weeks have been shitty. Honestly, they've been shitty. And I feel ungrateful saying that, but you know what? Hell, I am kind of ungrateful. I was bred to live in the future and the past. And that's kind of funny because that's not really the lesson that Christ gives. It's kind of funny how our new spin on religion puts us into this apocalyptic hasten toward the apocalypse. You know, I try to do the meditation stuff. It's boring. Honestly, it's just boring. Okay? I'm not trying to put my bad habits on you, but let me be that sacrificial lamb, if you will, so that you can put your sins onto me. My mom would be like, "This is blasphemy." But let me be that sacrificial lamb upon which you can project and lay all your emotional sins onto. Let me just say what I know you're feeling, which is meditation's fucking boring. Isn't it more fun to like go get a little snack? Isn't it more fun to do anything else? But listen, I still try to do it. I still try to do it before I go to bed. I still try to do it in the morning because it is important to have some kind of discipline. At least I feel like that's what I'm supposed to say now because I'm feeling a lot of guilt because all them sins you just heaped onto me. Listen, my cat's over here licking her twat. And that's about how things are going. Do you understand? Now, I did that little poll and you said that you wanted to hear some more family stories. So we're being luxurious here at the house. I got my cleavage showing. Really, I'm just trying to have my last hurrah before my tits get to about to where they look like this. I call it the W. They're going to get to the sad little W, which stands for wah wah. And so I'm letting it all hang out until gravity or a kid eventually pulls them suckers down. Right here we've got the hydration station. You can't really see. I put a tablecloth over this and everything, thinking that this was going to be a mainstay of the episode. But we've got our LaCroix. None of these people are sponsoring me, by the way, because I guess they're idiots. But Better Than Booze, of course. We know that my drunk ass does not partake in any alcohol anymore. So I just find alternatives. But this like kind of satiates that need to touch things, that need to imbibe, that need to self-regulate from without. It's got CBD and THC in it. So by the end of this episode, I might be thinking that there's a walrus trying to touch my titties. Oh my God, y'all. I had one of these the other day. I haven't had the blackberry yet. And listen, Canada Dry, I don't know, if you want to send me some free shit. You know, how do Canadians talk? Yeah, like, you know, water, yeah. But right here, this is the taste of childhood. This reminds me of that 1 week I went to gymnastics. I quit going because, well, A, I was lazy. B, I quit going because there was a girl there. I don't know. Let's name her Tiffany. What she did was one time my mom was coming to pick me up. She said, "Your mama's here." Now, my mom was the older mom. So I guess she would have been 45, 46 at the time. And I started bawling and I said, "That's not my mama, that's my mom." And then it just felt like a good end point where my mom picked me up and already saw that I was crying. So I was like, this is my only escape. This is my only chance to get out of this hellhole that is child gymnastics. This reminds me of that because my mom loved to buy these things in bulk. What the fuck is happening? Oh, recycling. Isn't it bad that even when good things are happening, if they inconvenience you, you're like, fuck recycling. We're evil. So it's been a long time since I've had the blackberry And I think the Canadians are punishing me for that bad accent. Oh my God, even that smell. That smells like Claire's. Oh my God. Oh my God, y'all. Yeah, this feels like 1996. We're at a motel, a shitty motel, and my mom thinks she's got a healthy option here with her clearly Canadian. Let's stop talking about drinks. Let's talk more about family memories. I was thinking the other day about some family memories, and I wish that I could introduce everyone that I've gotten to know in my adult life to my grandmother. But I can't because she's dead. But her name was Arthona. I have never seen or heard that name in any literature. I've never come across it. I'd like to do a deep dive because I don't even know the origin of that name. But I've kind of left it to be this mystical thing that just belonged to her. But if you're new, she was charismatic, but gracious, very given to hospitality. It was like people would call her place our Shoney's. And if somebody called my place that, I'd slap the shit out of them. But she was very flattered by that. I guess because for our hometown, Shoney's was probably good eating. She just made you feel good to be around her. And I know that that's not just my bias as her baby grandbaby, as she called me. I know that that is truth because so many people from the community, when she passed, just sent letters and let us all know how touched they were by her presence. Just everybody knew her. She played the accordion in my family's traveling gospel group. So she was just a unique kind of person. She was very gaudy, and she never smelled like an old woman. She wore Estee Lauder Pleasures, and it was just kind of a lighter, sweeter smell. Now it's become like tinged with nostalgia. So, but at the time that it came out, it was like a light, sweet smell. So, and she always wore makeup. She always had her hair done all the way up until her mid-80s. She died at 87. She was just a special, special kind of person. Grandma was all the time dying on us. And you say, how was she dying? More than once. And to that I say, I don't know. But this woman was all the time dying on us for some reason. And and the way that my family approached dying was quite unorthodox, and to an onlooker, it would have been mayhem. They'd be like, well, what kind of cult shit have I just walked into? One of the times Grandma was dying, let's just take a moment to take in that sentence and appreciate it for what it is. Grandma was dying, okay? For like the 70th time. And at that time, my cousin Misty was dating who is now her husband, John. But they were just dating. I think they had been seeing each other for maybe a month. And Grandma was laid on the couch because she had had a heart attack. And everybody was doing what they did every time Grandma died, which was like, go toward the light. Now, if I woke up from that knowing that my family had been saying that to me, I'd be like, thanks, but no thanks. Y'all ain't trying to resuscitate me. What is going on? She wanted to go on home, and everybody's cheerleading her and singing, and we'll meet Jesus too. Like, we're singing her into her heavenly home. Misty and John show up in the scene where there's already 50 people gathered around Grandma in her house. People are I remember I was in the kitchen eating fried chicken while Grandma was dying in the living room, dying. But I was eating chicken because somebody had ordered it from Mrs. Winters and had it delivered. And people were milling about, and Mom was in there holding her hand, singing and stuff. And like, I guess now I realize that they were always preparing us for this. And when I say they, I include Grandma. She was always being like, now I'm going to probably be going home soon. She was saying that all the time. I've already said this a million times. She was always saying that she's fixing to die. You know, okay. Misty and John show up on the scene where all this is happening. And John is reasonably overcome by the oddity, the surrealism, which is the experience of my family ushering someone from death into new life. And he mills about, I guess he stays for like one song, like we're singing, "The family who prays," and my mom's belting, "The family who prays, oh, will never be parted." And then John runs outside and is sobbing. And then my Aunt Phyllis, which is Misty's mother, goes out and goes, "John, what's the matter with you?" He said, "I don't understand. What's going on in there? She's dying." And Phyllis goes, "Yeah, but this is how coffees die." Just so matter of fact. But it's like, I bet for that experience for him was like somebody that sat through a portion, right? You just pull out one portion of Eraserhead. Like, it's very Lynchian. Like a portion of Eraserhead, and you just let somebody like see the kid being born. You don't let them see the beginning, the end. So it's completely out of context. They're dropped into this surrealist environment. And they have nothing else to say but what the fuck. John pretty soon learned our ways, and to a lot of things he would just respond. You know, he would first question something and he would later respond, "Oh, I get it. It's just a coffee thing." Which was my family. No boundaries. This is a fun story. My Aunt Carletta. These names. Let's do that really quick. Let's talk about the names. Matriarch is my grandma, Arthona. Patriarch, my grandfather, Claude. Okay, but you know how these mountain people have names. Like, I got an Aunt Eunice, Aunt Rainey, Mabel, Lorena. I got a cousin named Kevin. We call him Kevin, but I swear to God, I think his name is Kelvin. I don't think we know. We don't know, because my Uncle Hubert worked for NASA, and my dad swears to God that Kevin's name is Kelvin. But my grandma would say it so fast that it was like Calvin. You know what I'm saying? It was like the L is back here in the throat, so she'd go Calvin, and Dad, like, we'll be sitting around, I'll be like, and then, "You remember Kevin?" My dad goes, "I think it's Kelvin." We're all cousins in some way. And that's the great lesson. Matriarch, Patriarch, Arthona, Claude. They have children. They have 6 children. There's Lunova, James. Then they got 4 more that are all named after my grandfather, which is weird. But there's some derivative of Claude, or kind of. You'll see. Carletta, Claudette, Claudia, which is my mom, and then Cleona, who would eventually change his name to Tony. I'm sure it did not bode well with the mountain children. Carletta. Let me tell you something about Carletta. My Aunt Carletta, I love her. She runs a beauty shop now for more than 30 years, probably 35 years, called That Certain Look by Carletta, with her little fish symbol, says Jesus loves you inside there. And it is a real life steel magnolias. For a lot of people, she provides a good air, and she really loves her job. And so I always loved to be there. I always loved going down at the shop. My Aunt Carletta was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she had to have a double mastectomy. But she had somewhat of a, I don't know, let's call it a supernatural grace with that, where she didn't have to experience a lot of the fear on the initial diagnosis. And she was very comical about it, because she was very excited to get new titties. She was already wanting to get a titty job. And so that was kind of her first response, was like, "Hey, I got breast cancer. That's the bad news. The good news is I'm going to get that titty job, and somebody else is going to pay for it." I love the comedy that she could inject into some of the darkest situations. She got that titty job, and while things were healing, I remember Mom, we'd go over there when we had to change her bags and all that stuff, you know. She'd have stuff hanging off her. She'd be like, "I look like a sci-fi pic, don't I? Look at all these. Come here, Andi Marie, look at," because I was like, you know, Was I 8? Was I 7? 7 or 8. And I didn't want to come into the room because I saw them bulbs and bags and shit hanging off of her. And she forced me to come in there. She'd be like, come in here and see. I'm hurting. The least you could do is come in here and look. Like, she was so free with her experience and her body. When she got that titty job, let me tell you something. She was trying to show everyone down at the shop her titties, her new titties. I mean, like, new, old, straight up. As soon as them scars were starting to heal and she got the nipples put on, she got the nipple tattoos put on, she would get done doing somebody's hair and say, now, if you want to come back here, I'll show you my titties. Shit you not. Unironically, and like 70% of the time the people would, because they felt that, I guess they felt that comfortable with her. They knew it wasn't a sexual thing. They knew that everything about it was just her trying to be open and free and just fascinated. It was pure fascination that she had with her own boob job that she wanted to share with the world. She was like, well, they're not really my titties anyway, but they are, but they're not. Very interesting person. All right, we're back. And if it seems like the vibe changed, that's because it did. I got bored. I'm a star. I shouldn't have to be doing this. I shouldn't have to worry about these things that the minuscule mollusks of the world should have to be doing for me. Listen, y'all didn't want characters, and it pisses me off a little bit because I am so gifted. I'm so gifted with the people that live in my mind. I cannot believe that anyone wouldn't appreciate it. That's the problem to me. That's the problem with our world today. But listen, I'm going to go with this character for a couple more minutes. But truly, I'm telling you, what I'm telling you is that people have small minds. Their minds are usually the size of an almond. Which reminds me, Pat, yes, darling, we're going to have to get more almonds. Yes, I don't care, Costco, I don't care where you get them. We used to order them. Yes, we used to have them shipped. It seems like you're forgetting things. I hope you have plans to see that neurologist, because I'm getting worried about you. There's something quite unnatural about the way you've been acting. Just quite out of character. I don't mind unnatural. What is natural even, really? I'm getting right down to it. Darling, here's the thing. I've heard a lot. I've done a lot. I've heard a lot. I've been through a lot. And I know most things. No one will say that anymore. No one will. There's too much obsession with humility. And I really think that humility is shit. Truly, I think it's a disease that we are taught to bear, and it's unnecessary. Okay, she's exhausting. I gotta stop. They used to call us the crazy coffees. And some of that, I think, was self-inflicted. I swear I think some of them just wanted to feel weird. And I know what that feels like because too much of my personality is made up of thinking the world thinks I'm weird. And I really don't know who I'd be if I didn't have normality to war against. You know what I'm saying? You know yourself by your opposite. That whole Zen thing. So part of me thinks that my family built an identity out of being weird. But I love it. I love that shit. My whole family dressed crazy. One time my mom was taking me to a show, like one of my shows. She was driving me, and she was wearing like this huge black cape. She was wearing black sunglasses. She was wearing this big black brimmed hat, And somebody walked up to her in the parking lot and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, I just have to ask, are you a witch?" And she said, "No, honey, I work for the other feller." I just love that. But, people that were from different mystical backgrounds, whether it was religious or occult, were just drawn to her by her natural ability to emote. And I think that I developed some of my love of fashion and like things that are eccentric from the way she presented. People were all the time trying to get my mom to come out to drag shows. My grandma used to tell these stupid ass limericks. I don't know if any of y'all's grandma did that. But as a kid, I wish I had appreciated it more, because now I feel like I was kind of shitty to her about that. Gaseous Clay over here, I'm sorry. She'd tell them to you too right before you were fixing to go to bed. It was already hard to sleep with Grandma because it was like a fucking John Deere lawnmower in there, because she was so incredibly loud. Nowadays, she would have had about 5 machines hooked up to her at night to remedy that. But at the time, CPAP wasn't like a normal thing. And, honey, if she didn't... Woo! She was a big old heffalump and woozle all in one. She was so damn loud. But it was so hard to go to sleep. And she made it even harder when she'd tell you these crazy-ass nursery rhymes and limericks and puzzles that you had to figure out. Mental puzzles that were really just dead-ended. All of us cousins, when she died, were like, "Do you get that one?" No, none of us did. And she'd, oh, nay. Yous don't get that one? No. But let me tell you some of them. This one makes sense. It's just kind of goofy. It's a goober. This is how she'd do it. I'm going to be Grandma. Now imagine I got a shower cap on, because she had her shower cap. Imagine I got this top row of teeth taken out, and they're like little spikes sticking out, right? I'd wash them spikes at night. It was creepy. But imagine that. As I was going across London Bridge, I met a man. He tipped his hat and drew his cane, and in this riddle I told his name. But his name's Andrew. As I was going across the London Bridge, met a man, tipped his hat, and drew his cane, and in this riddle I told his name. Now this one's the one we know as the 7 Cats rhyme. Here we go. As I was going to London, she was always going somewhere. I think that was code, that she wanted us to take her somewhere. She wasn't stuck in Scott County all the time. But as I was going to hold on, that's not how she sounds. As I was gone to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. 7 wives had 7 cats. 7 wives had 7 kids. 7 kids had 7 cats. 7 cats had 7 sacks. Now, how many people were going to St. Ives? 1. Okay? Never got that one either as a kid. I guess I was a dumbass. Oh my God. I feel I'm getting sweaty thinking about saying this out loud, because it's really that stupid. You ready? There was a little man, but a wan, his name was Joe, but a whoa. He went to the field, but a wheel, just for to mow, but a whoa. Susie Ray, and that whole time she's spitting on you. Oh, tell my gal, but a wow, but I thought she knowed, but a whoa. When the hay got ripe, but a wipe, it had to be mowed, but a whoa. Susie Ray. Well, wasn't there very long, till along came a snake. And it bit him on the heel, but a wheel. I don't know what the rest of the shit says. This one embarrasses me the most. This one's by far the most embarrassing. We'd all be like, why is Grandma doing the possum thing? Here we go. Ready? Blossom. Oh my God, I can't even bring my mouth to do this. It makes no sense. I feel like my brain is going to melt. Or maybe my grandma was on LSD. And that's why she was so zen all the time. Blossom in a paw patch, picking up paws and putting them in his pockets. Yep. And she would do that. Okay, I'm going to put on my antler. All right, now I've just entered a new kind of wisdom. I've just stepped into a new plane, and you need to be thinking about me differently, because everything I say from this point on is gospel. And I've got Joni over here to my left side. I don't know what that's written about in the kingdom of heaven, who's going to sit on the left and right, and I'm sure my Aunt Claudette has written diagrams that she wishes that I would study and has sent them in email attachments that I haven't opened. I'll probably cry about when she dies. Do you hear that bubbling in my throat? That's the wisdom percolating. This next week might be weird. You might have a lot of feelings. But what the hell are feelings? They come and they go. They're about as substantial as those little pop rock candies that used to get gassed at, which used to get Cracker Barrel, really. They pop. They might be a little bit pleasurable, but then they might sting you. You might get a little zap. But then there's always a handful more to be had. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. New sensations all the time. But they're not substantial. They really just come and go. And your moods are like that. You know, you go through about, at least I do, I go through about 10 eras a day. Oh, I'm in my Doritos era. And I'll be like, well, I'm back in the David Lynch era, you know, because I want to rewatch one episode of Twin Peaks. But then all of a sudden I got somebody calling me to come down to a baby shower. And then I got to just be an actual person again, right? And then I'm like, well, no, now I'm in my family era. The fact that you know that emotions and thoughts can come and go, and they do. And they appear to come out of nowhere. They appear to just arise in the space that is consciousness. And that is who you are. You, in essence, the core of you is eternal. And it is love, and it's good. And so when you're feeling weird, just know that shit will pass. But a new day will come. Should have known this was Keats and not Kipling. All right. This one's a very famous one. And I'm going to put on an accent. Can I do Michael Caine? Michael Caine. Can I do Audrey? All seasons in the mind of man. Let's just do it. Let's just do it straight. The human seasons. 4 seasons fill the easier of the year. There are 4 seasons in the mind of man. He has his lusty spring when fancy clear, takes in all beauty with an easy span. He has his summer when luxuriously, spring's honeyed cud of youthful thought he loves. To ruminate, and by such dreaming high, is nearest unto heaven quiet coves. His soul has its autumn when his wings he furleth close, contented so to look on mists in idleness, to let fair things pass by unheeded as a threshold brook. He has his winter too of pale misfeature, or else he would forego his mortal nature. You got to let yourself age. Otherwise, you're never going to want to let go of this life. You don't want to be fucking Dorian Gray. You don't want to be him or fucking him. I mean, he sounds awful. He sounds awful and hot in that Oscar Wilde way. You know what I'm saying? Like, let the youth have what they've got. Let them have rock hard bods. You know what I'm saying? Because that's really all they got. They're not interesting. They're hot. And let them have that. You know, I don't want to sit down and discuss Keats with a 20-year-old, but I don't mind him, you know, dancing around. Anything else funny we can do?
If you want to have a good week, I believe you can have a good week. You see, it's more about what you bring to the things. It's not really what you're trying to get others to do for you.
Thank you, Audrey. If anybody else wants to come through, and Miss Julie, thank you for coming. And
It's quite a charmed life that we live, that I live, being rich and beautiful and wonderful and kind.
oh, I should have the coffee family play us out. This gem. This is a multi-pack. This is my family. My mom, my beautiful mother there at the top. I think they had like 10 albums, so they put out quite a body of work. But you are welcome to look them up on YouTube. Go, Grandma. Go, Grandma. Of Galilee. Got to mention. Death and agony. Such wondrous love.